Y'all remember Lakeview Terrace? Did you know it was written and directed by white men? It's their literal fantasy. Widowed L.A.P.D. policeman Abel Turner lives with his young son Marcus and teenage daughter Celia, who both thinks he's insufferable. Marcus wears his Kobe Bryant jersey, but Abel doesn't approve of the basketball player, so he tells Marcus to change. Not liking Kobe Bryant is the biggest red flag. One day, a newlywed interracial couple, Chris Mattson, who is 50 Shades of White, and Lisa Mattson, who is Olivia Pope herself, move into the house next door, and Abel immediately disapproves of them. In the middle of the night, the fine Mr. Mattson realizes that his neighbor Abel has a very bright security light blaring into their bedroom. He has to gather something to cover up, so he don't bear it all for everyone to see. But sir, I don't mind. At work, Abel goes off at big back white boy who keeps acting gangster. Abel gets tired of his ass and says he nothing but a weeb, vanilla ice wannabe. Later that night, while Chris is smoking on the side of the road before driving into his garage, Abel approaches him in a very threatening way. They get acquainted, but Abel's comments about Chris's smoking, music choice, relationship with Lisa, and race sound hostile. Abel says Chris is always going to be white no matter how much rap he listens to. Chris gets rid of any signs of smoking before entering their house since Lisa is unaware that he smokes. He finds Lisa swimming in their pool and tells her that he met Abel, who has a special brand of humor. They kiss and Chris joins Lisa in the pool. Unbeknownst to them, Celia and Marcus are watching them from an upstairs window. When Celia tells Marcus that he'll go to hell with a stiffy for watching, an annoyed Marcus says that she told him to look. When Abel sees them fighting and climbs up to reprimand them, Celia tells Marcus not to say anything. However, as Abel asks why they're fighting, he hears giggles, prompting him to look out the window and see the couple releasing mayonnaise in the pool. An enraged Abel then asks his children to go downstairs. Noticing that their AC is not working, the Mattsons discover that someone has opened it. On the ground, they find a screw and a cigarette butt. When Abel's house security floodlights are turned on, they learn that they have been repositioned to face and shine into their bedroom directly. Curtains are pretty cheap. The next morning, Chris sees Abel fixing his car. Accepting Chris's offer to help, Abel purposely instructs Chris to position his hand where he can injure him. Shortly after, Chris asks Abel to turn his lights elsewhere until they get some curtains up. But Abel tells him that they're necessary as there are troublemakers in town, and he has a teenage daughter who likes to sneak out at night. Marcus purposefully tosses his ball into Lisa's yard, and the kids meet her, and they all like each other. Later that night, Chris goes to Abel's house to talk to him again about his lights since he hasn't repositioned them yet. Abel tells him that he wasn't able to get to it earlier because he had a busy day. Abel invites Chris to patrol the neighborhood with him, which Lisa sees. During the patrol, Abel says that not everybody is an ideal neighbor. He tells him about a man who beats on his wife, whom he has advised to leave her husband. He adds that one can't really tell someone to their face that he or she shouldn't be with someone. Abel confronts Chris about him and Lisa's synchronized swimming situation in their pool, which he and his children saw. Chris apologizes, but Abel says that they should move to a place where that is okay to do. When Chris returns home, he informs Lisa about the Turners seeing them in the pool and says that he doesn't think Abel likes them, and Chris assumes it's because they're an interracial couple. But Lisa gives Abel the benefit of the doubt. Unbeknownst to them, Abel is watching them outside. I just know Abel wants the beautiful Lisa so bad. At the Mattsons' housewarming party, Abel undermines Chris's knowledge and interest in global warming, causing an awkward atmosphere. After Abel reveals that Chris keeps flicking cigarette butts over the fence so Lisa won't see, exposing that Chris is secretly smoking, he hears the Mattsons' friends whisper that he is an asshole, and he proceeds to confront them. Lisa and one of their friends try to change the topic to lessen the tension. As Abel leaves, Chris runs after him and apologizes about the cigarettes, but gently confronts him for exposing him to Lisa that way. He tells him that they have to settle whatever his problem is with them because it's getting out of hand. When Chris asks him to back off and says that maybe he's the problem because they're fitting into the neighborhood just fine, Abel just mocks his ass. One night, the Mattsons awaken to the sound of their Prius going off. Upon checking, they see their garage door open and their car's tires slashed. Chris grabs a white man's sports stick and runs out to their yard to catch the trespasser, but no one's there. Abel asks the couple if everything's okay because he heard someone moving in their property but didn't see anyone. The cops arrive and the Mattsons report what just happened, but the officer taking their report says they can't do much and casually mentions the troublemakers around the area. At the same time, the couple is annoyed to hear Abel laughing while talking to another officer. Ironically, the officer says they're lucky to be living next to a cop. Chris and Lisa meet up with Lisa's dad, Harold, and tell him that they suspect that Abel is behind the incident, citing everything he has said and done. Since they don't have solid proof, Harold says Abel has never made an actual threat against their life or property, so it's his word against theirs, and Abel has the color advantage. And Harold says blue because Abel a cop. I swear, not a single person of color was involved in the writing or directing. He says they can file a civil suit about the lights, but he wouldn't advise it. Instead, he advises putting the house back on the market and moving since it has already served its purpose as their starter home. Later that day, Chris puts up floodlights of their own, positioning them to shine directly into Abel's bedroom. He tells Lisa that although it's not the solution to their problem, he wants Abel to have a taste of his own medicine. Later that night, Abel awakens because of the light and gets enraged. I swear no one has ever heard of blackout curtain in this movie. At work, Abel goes to a domestic dispute call with his partner Javier, who a fine-ass gentleman. The two get shot at from a door, and Abel goes to chase the assailant. The man threatens to shoot himself, and Abel says, "Go ahead and do it." However, Javier goes in there to arrest the sorry-ass man. One day, Celia goes to swim at Lisa's house. Celia wants advice on dating a white man, and Lisa says it's a lot harder to date one. Celia decides to dance crazy, and Abel catches her. He mocks his daughter by removing his clothes down to his underwear and says it's a double standard because Celia gets to do it. Celia talks back saying he's just an old man, and she gets slapped so hard the actress quit acting. She runs off, and Lisa tells him to get off her property. Abel mocks her because she can't call the cops. That night, Chris tells his wife that he's tired of getting crap from black men about their relationship, not realizing that Lisa probably gets it worse. Did these two never talk about race before committing to each other? Lisa learns that she's pregnant, but the unhappy reaction of Chris, who's not yet ready to be a father, causes them to fight. Meanwhile, Abel is suspended indefinitely because of an abuse of power complaint against him by the suicidal shooter. Since his children are at his sister-in-law's house, an upset Abel offers to host his colleague's bachelor party at his house. Later at 3 a.m., Chris goes to Abel's house to ask him to turn the music down because they are trying to sleep. Abel calls Chris a Democrat. I just know Abel wears a MAGA hat. Then Abel tells a stripper to grind on Chris while his colleagues hold him down and film it and says that the stripper's assets are better than Lisa's, pissing Chris off. They then throw him out. When he gets home, a fed-up Chris looks for his camcorder, planning to record everything Abel does. Lisa finds a copy of the stripper video in their mail. After seeing the video, Lisa goes out and sees Abel staring at her. Chris plants trees along the fence between his and Abel's properties, and he and Lisa later catch Abel cutting branches off as they're hanging over his property, which leads to a fight between them. Later, Abel arrives at a bar and sees Chris drinking there. Chris is about to leave when Abel apologizes, saying he had a bad day. Abel shares that it's the 3rd anniversary of the death of his wife, who was a home care aide for mostly old people. One day, he got a phone call that his wife had been in a head-on collision, and she later died on a gurney in the hall. Abel adds that he's still trying to figure out why his wife was with her white employer in the middle of the afternoon when she should have been nursing an elderly Jewish patient, hinting that the incident and his suspicion that his wife might have had an affair with her white boss are the reasons for his hatred towards whites and interracial relationships. This script is a liberal white man's dream. While Chris, Lisa, and Abel are at a neighbor's party, an Asian woman is thankful that they got a black cop in the neighborhood. Lisa gives the bombastic side eye. Meanwhile, Abel's informant, Discord moderator looking ass, Clarence Darlington, breaks into the Matsons' residence. Once inside, Clarence calls Abel, who gives his go signal. Clarence trashes the Matsons' residence, breaking everything he sees and peeing on a piece of furniture. When Lisa leaves the party, Abel calls Clarence to warn him, but when he hangs up, Clarence sees Lisa opening the front door. Lisa catches Clarence attempting to leave, prompting her to trigger their alarm. As Clarence knocks Lisa out, Chris and Abel hear the alarm and run over. Abel finds Clarence, who's attempting to escape, at the pool and shoots him dead to silence him. While waiting for the paramedics, Abel searches for Clarence's phone but fails. Fortunately, Lisa and the baby are okay. At the hospital, Chris informs her about Clarence's death. Meanwhile, Abel watches as authorities inspect the pool area, anxious about Clarence's missing phone. Because of the wildfires nearby, the residents in the neighborhood are instructed to evacuate. Unaware that the Matsons are on their way home, Abel enters their residence again to search for Clarence's phone. Unfortunately, the Matsons arrive, forcing him to leave. Chris sees Abel hosing his roof and thanks him for saving Lisa. Shortly after, while the Matsons pack their stuff to evacuate, Chris finds Clarence's phone by their bed. When he calls the unregistered number in the call log, Abel answers. The shocked Chris, who realizes that Abel is behind the break-in, looks at Abel through their window, and Abel, who realizes whose phone it was, looks back at Chris and draws his gun. As Abel enters the Matsons' residence with his gun drawn, he loudly tells Chris, who he doesn't see, that Clarence had been calling him and threatening him, saying he's going to hurt Celia, and he had broken into their house thinking it was his. Chris appears, knocks down Abel, and instructs Lisa to get the police, informing her of Abel's involvement in the break-in. However, before Lisa can get far, Abel gets up, knocks down Chris, and repeatedly shoots at Lisa's car, causing her to crash into a parked vehicle. Chris knocks down Abel and takes his gun. As Chris attempts to get Lisa out of the car, Abel pulls out another gun and shoots at Chris. As Abel walks towards them, Chris points the gun at Abel, ordering him to get back. When the police arrive, Abel quickly hides his gun behind him and makes it seem like Chris is the aggressor. Chris, who's still pointing the gun at Abel, tells the police that he's lying and that he has a gun, which Abel denies. Unsure of who to believe, the cops order Abel to not move any further and Chris to drop his gun, during which Lisa gets out of the car. Chris refuses to drop his gun until Abel drops his. While Abel provokes Chris to shoot him, Lisa begs Chris to drop the gun and comply with the cops' order. When Abel tells him to listen to his wife, Chris remembers Abel's story about his wife and asks him if he listened to his wife, taking Abel aback. Chris continues to taunt Abel, saying he should have listened to his wife and asking him if he saw it coming when she ran off with a whitey. After repeatedly telling Chris to leave his wife out of it, an enraged Abel pulls out his gun and shoots Chris, prompting the officers to fatally gun him down. Let's be honest, the cops would have gunned down the black man before asking any questions. In the ambulance, Chris and Lisa tell each other, "I love you," and Chris seems finally ready for their growing family. I'm a little shocked that the movie has taken place in Los Angeles, where we currently have a lot of fires going on. A weird coincidence. Shout out to first responders. But anyway, what did y'all think of this one? It was shockingly bad with such a stellar cast too.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.